I'm Beth Salerno. I'm the Interim Program Director at New Hampshire Humanities and the host for these Humanities at Home. I'm delighted to welcome you and also excited for tonight's presentation on preserving your family history. I need to announce that presentations by New Hampshire Humanities are funded in part by the National Endowment for the Humanities. To sustain our programs, New Hampshire Humanities must match all federal funding with an equal amount of local financial support. So if you enjoy our programming, perhaps at the end of this one, please join others like you in donating to ensure that this kind of programming continues in New Hampshire. Again, this is a Zoom webinar, so you won't be able to chat with each other in the chat, and we won't be recognizing people with the hand raise tool. Please use the chat or the Q&A to put questions for the presenter. At the end of her presentation, we'll have about 25 minutes, and I'll be feeding her questions out of those two places. Please be sure, because this is a New Hampshire Humanities event and we pay close attention to our community and our civic engagement, please use appropriate language with your questions and in the chat. Without any further ado, I'd like to go ahead and welcome the New Hampshire State Archivist Ashley Miller, who works within the Secretary of State's office. She brings a master's in history and a master's in archival management to her work, but she'll be giving us advice tonight that everyone can implement. Ashley, over to you. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Beth. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining me today for this important discussion on preserving family history. Before we begin, I'd like you to take a moment and think about the stories that have been passed down in your own family. Maybe it's a tale of how your grandparents met, a cherished family tradition, or a favorite recipe that has been handed down for generations. We often hear stories about our ancestors, some passed down for generations, others discovered through old photographs and documents. However, if we don't take steps to document and organize these precious details, they can be lost over time. Today, we will explore why preserving your family history is crucial, practical ways to do so, and the tools available to help us protect and share our heritage. Whether you're just starting your journey or you've been researching for years, I hope this presentation provides new insights and inspiration for safeguarding your family's legacy for future generations. Before we dive into specific methods of preservation, let's consider why family history matters. Think about the stories you've heard from your grandparents or parents. Perhaps they told you about how they grew up, the struggles they faced, or the traditions they carried on. Yet, how many of those stories have been written down or recorded? How often do we hear about a lost family heirloom or an old photograph with no names written on the back? Our family's past is an invaluable treasure, but without conscious effort, it can slip away. On the surface, genealogy is about names, dates, and places. Who was born when, who married whom, and where they lived. But when you look deeper, it's about so much more. It's about understanding the lives of those who came before us and how their experiences shaped our own. In this presentation, we'll talk about why family history is important and how it connects generations, how to collect, organize, and safeguard family documents, photos, stories, and artifacts, the role of technology in preserving and sharing family history, overcoming challenges in genealogy research, and by the end, you'll have a clear roadmap for how to start or continue your own family history project. Why preserve family history? So why should we dedicate time and effort to preserve family history? There are many compelling reasons. For one, it strengthens family bonds. Learning about our ancestors helps us feel connected to something greater than ourselves. Knowing where we come from fosters a sense of pride and belonging. Through passing down traditions, every family has unique traditions, whether it's a holiday recipe, a special way of celebrating milestones, or cultural customs. Documenting these ensures they aren't forgotten. It also keeps traditions alive, whether through stories, heirlooms, recipes, or cultural practices. It can help us to understand our personal identity. Our heritage influences who we are. Learning about the challenges and triumphs of our ancestors can inspire us and provide a sense of resilience. For many people, knowing where they come from provides a sense of belonging. Family history connects us to past generations and helps us understand how their lives and choices shaped our present. Health and genetic awareness. Family medical history is essential for understanding inherited health conditions. Knowing which diseases or conditions run in the family can help future generations take preventative measures. And lastly, creating a legacy. One day, our children or grandchildren, nieces and nephews will want to know about us, just as we wonder about those who came before us. By preserving family history, we leave behind a legacy for future generations. There are many ways to preserve family history, and each method serves a unique purpose. Let's break them down. Oral histories. Spoken stories are a great way to capture personal narratives. Conducting interviews with older family members can preserve their firsthand experiences in their own voices. Written records. Letters, journals, and official documents such as birth and marriage certificates are critical for documenting family lineage. Photographs and memorabilia. Pictures bring history to life, while artifacts such as medals, furniture, or heirlooms tell their own stories. Digital archiving. Scanning documents and photos ensures they're preserved and can be easily shared. Online genealogy tools help organize and store information. And lastly, recipes. This one's kind of a fun one. They hold not just delicious flavors, but deep meaning too. For collecting oral histories, one of the most powerful ways to preserve family history is by recording oral histories. When we interview family members, we capture memories that may not exist in written records. The best practices for conducting interviews. Choose the right person. Start with older relatives who have lived through significant historical periods. Prepare open-ended questions. Instead of asking, "Did you like school?" ask, "What was school like for you?" Use a high-quality recorder. Whether you use a smartphone, a digital recorder, or a video camera, ensure the audio is clear. Create a comfortable environment. People open up more when they feel at ease. Conduct interviews in familiar settings. And follow up on the details. If someone mentions an event or a name, ask for a clarification. Can you tell me more about that day? Some good sample questions include, can you tell me about your childhood home? What was a typical family gathering like when you were young? Do you remember any stories about your grandparents or great-grandparents? After recording, transcribe the conversation and store it both physically and digitally to ensure longevity. Preparation is important for oral history. You'll want to research. Thorough preparation enables the interviewer to know what questions to ask. Research pays off during the interview when the interviewer's knowledge of the names, dates, and places may jog the interviewee's memory. Particularly important if you're working with an older relative. Start at the beginning and proceed chronologically, asking open-ended questions, listening closely without interrupting, following up on details or unexpected avenues of information, challenging questionable information in a non-threatening way, and generally maintaining an atmosphere in which the interviewee feels able to respond fully and truthfully. There are many recorder options that will record an uncompressed preservation quality audio file. If you don't have access to a recorder, most smartphones have recording software that will record an MP3 audio file. Use external microphones if possible. Check the room for extraneous noise such as motors, fans, pets, traffic. Test the recorder to check the volume of the interviewer and interviewee and to see if it's picking up on any static or surrounding noise. Begin with an introduction that identifies who is being interviewed, who is conducting the interview, where, when, and the purpose of the interview. Avoid speaking while your interviewee is sharing. Instead, try to use physical cues that you're listening, like nodding or taking notes instead of affirming mm-hms. Upload the files from the recorder onto your computer and an external hard drive and/or the cloud so you don't lose the file. Name the file in a way that you can identify it later. For example, last name, first name, date, interview number, and file number. And make copies of your digital file. Save a copy to an external hard drive and/or the cloud. Lots of copies keep stuff safe. DNA testing and genealogy. DNA testing has transformed genealogy by helping people discover unknown relatives and ancestral origins. Companies like Ancestry and 23andMe analyze your DNA and match you with relatives. Results can reveal ethnic origins, migration patterns, and even unknown branches of your family tree. DNA can confirm or disprove family stories. However, DNA testing does have its limitations, and it should be combined with traditional genealogy research for best results. Organizing your family documents. Documents provide a factual backbone to family history. Keeping them organized prevents information from getting lost. To organize your documents, gather all of them first. Birth and marriage certificates, military records, property deeds, immigration papers, handwritten letters, diaries, and sort by category. Arrange by family member, generation, or event. Label and store properly. Use acid-free folders and storage boxes to prevent deterioration. Find a cool, dry spot for storage, not a basement or not an attic. I see those both a lot. Oftentimes, patrons will find things in basements and attics, so a good spot to check for treasures, but not a great place to store them. Create digital backups, scan important papers, and store them in cloud storage and external hard drives. And develop a filing system. Use labeled binders or digital folders to keep everything accessible. Here are some tips for describing your records. Check for typos. I know this is simple, but it happens all the time, and it affects your ability to retrieve a record, especially a digital one. If you misspell a word in a file and later type that into your computer to search for a record, you're not going to generate the results you're looking for. Always use official names. Write the date out fully. How many of us have old family photos that we don't have the names or dates, and you're not quite sure when or where it was taken or who was even in the photo? If you're going to use acronyms, you should always write the full name of what the acronym represents first, then put the acronym in parentheses immediately after. For example, Secretary of State would be SOS. Avoid abbreviations. We want to make sure your descriptions are clear, not just for us, but for those who come after us. My main rule is to be clear. If you use the word miscellaneous, you have no idea what's in a box or a binder without physically going to it and looking at that record. It saves you time later, and it ensures things don't go missing and helps future generations. Here are several things to avoid to prevent records deteriorating, mold, damage, and spills. I'm going to show you several examples of items we use every day that are also the enemies of preservation. But I really want to draw attention to please don't store your family treasures in your basements or attics. Rusted paper clips stain paper, and they can be very difficult to remove without damaging the records. There are archival plastic paper clips that will not rust and adhere to paper. So if you have any documents you're using a metal paper clip with that you want to keep long-term, you're going to want to remove that paper clip. And the same thing goes for staples. Scotch tape, the go-to, easy to use fix-it when there's a tear through the page of your book. Tape, you may be surprised to find, actually causes quite a lot of damage to paper. And when brought to a book conservator, its removal is a tedious procedure, and it can still stain the paper. Rubber bands will dry and adhere to paper, which can lead to abrading or tearing the paper. If the rubber band is soft and sticky, it leaves behind sticky residue, causing documents to stick together. Photographs hold sentimental value and provide a visual history of our ancestors. Tips for the preservation of photos are: use archival quality albums, avoid sticky albums and cheap plastic sleeves. Digitize your photos, scan images at high resolution and store them on multiple platforms. Label photos clearly, write names, dates, and locations on the back using a pencil, and store them in a cool, dry place. Humidity and heat damage photographs over time. Once digitized, consider creating photo books or slideshows for family gatherings. Using technology for preservation. Technology often offers fantastic tools for preserving family history and making it accessible for younger generations and family members who live apart. Some useful platforms include genealogy websites like ancestry.com, familysearch.org, myheritage.com. Institutions like the New Hampshire State Archives work with ancestry.com and Family Search to digitize genealogical records to make them accessible to the public. The state archives and many local public libraries offer free access to these sites. Cloud storage. Google Drive, Dropbox, and external hard drives are good options for backups and for sharing information. And there's lots of family tree software out there. There's some built into Ancestry and Family Search, as well as Legacy Family Tree, Roots Magic, and MyHeritage Family Tree Builder. Technology makes it easier than ever to organize, protect, and share your family history. We all have old VHS, cassette tapes, CDs, and more that contain old but important information. Digitizing old home movies makes them viewable on today's devices: HD TVs, laptops, tablets, and smartphones. It also preserves these precious records of family history. Old films and videotapes are slowly degrading, but digital versions will remain stable as long as they can play on current technology. It's relatively easy to improve the quality of digitized movies and share clips online. You can choose to do it yourself with digitization equipment for those tech-savvy folks, or there are a number of companies that you can send your materials to. File renaming. Start with a clear, consistent naming convention. Think of it like labeling family photo albums. Instead of summer of 1999, you're going to do something like 1999-07-Grand Canyon-trip. Include the date, year, month of the event, and maybe a location or key person in the file name. It turns a jumble of memories into a neatly indexed library. Create a logical hierarchy for your files. Imagine organizing a closet. You wouldn't throw socks and shirts together. So categorize videos by year, event type, or family member. For example, folders could be labeled by year, and within each year, further divide events like birthdays or vacation. It's about making it as easy as possible to find what you're looking for. For saving your digital files, follow the 3-2-1 rule. 3 total copies of your data, 2 of which are local but on different devices, and 1 offsite. This strategy minimizes risks and ensures that no matter what disaster might strike, be it a hard drive failure or a natural disaster, your family memories remain intact. Backing up isn't just a one and done deal. It's more like tending to a garden. Regular checks and updates to your storage media are crucial. Technology evolves, and so should your backup methods. Preserving your family heirlooms. Family heirlooms are more than just mere objects. They are tangible links to our past, embodying stories, traditions, and the essence of who we are. Whether it's a delicate piece of jewelry worn by a great-grandmother, a weathered photograph capturing a moment in time, or a cherished piece of furniture that has witnessed decades of family gatherings, each heirloom carries with it a rich tapestry of memories and significance. Heirlooms hold significant sentimental and historical value. Proper care ensures they will last for generations. Proper storage. Keep delicate items in climate-controlled environments. Ensure that the temperature and humidity don't get too low or too high or fluctuate. Photograph and document. Take pictures and write descriptions for each heirloom, creating a catalog of what you have that will allow it to be accessible without having to constantly handle the items. Pass down the knowledge. Share the stories behind each heirloom with younger family members. Use professional conservation services. If an item is deteriorating, seek an expert restorator. Are you cleaning out your grandma's house and you're overwhelmed with the amount of things? If you have boxes of scrapbooks or old family photos and albums, let me just say, you don't have to keep everything just because someone in your family had it. Instead, it's better to sort through things and find the important pieces that resonate with you. Otherwise, you'll wind up with an entire house filled with a lifetime of memories that will just continue to grow. Instead, go through the items and ask yourself whether you're keeping them because they hold value or because you feel guilty about letting them go. If you don't have any sentimental memories associated with something, it's best to find it a new home. This could be for heirloom quilts, furniture, jewelry, or any other items. If you're not sure about the history of your heirlooms, you might want to ask another family member before getting rid of it or see if someone else wants to hold on to it. Knowing the story behind an item might change how you look at it. Creating your family tree. Building a family tree is an excellent way to visualize your ancestry. Start with what you know and gradually work backward. Start with your immediate family. List parents, siblings, grandparents, and great-grandparents. Gather your documents. Use birth certificates, marriage records, and census data to verify connections. Use online resources. Websites like Ancestry.com and Family Search provide extensive records. Institutions like the New Hampshire State Archives partner with these companies to make our records accessible. Organize and display. Whether you choose a digital tool or a handwritten chart, keep it well structured. Verify information. Cross-check names and dates to avoid common mistakes. Document where you found each source in case of conflicting information. Writing a family history book. This is a lasting way to preserve your family's legacy and a great way to share it among members of the family. When you're figuring out how to write your family history book, you might wonder what should go into the pages. You can include as much or as little detail as you want. Focus on the family as a whole or just a specific aspect, such as family relationships or tracking where your ancestors lived. Custom family history books can include different formats of information. Written details and recounted stories work well, but you can also add photos, copies of records, and other ways of presenting the information you find. Some features to consider include stories from family members, a family timeline, maps showing where family members originated or moved, profiles and photos of individual family members, artifacts such as tickets, report cards, and handwritten notes, family recipes, newspaper clippings, a family crest, signatures from ancestors, DNA test results, and letters and diary entries. Before you start looking at family history book examples or planning your own book, you need to collect the information you want to put into it. Here are some ways to find the information you need. Start with your knowledge. You probably already have more knowledge than you realize about your family, starting with the relatives you've known in your life. Write the details you remember or think about what you know about these people. You can fact check it later. Ask relatives. This is your chance to expand to other living family members. You might create a series of family interview questions to gather information, or simply ask them to share any stories, memories, or facts they know about the family. Check the records. The records you and your family members already have, such as old birth certificates or family Bibles, could have details that can add to your research. Conduct your genealogy research. Ancestry can help you verify the information you have and uncover new details about your family. Start with what you know and search for more records and information as you conduct genealogy research. Document everything. Write down all the information you receive, even if it might not seem significant. If you interview family members orally, take an audio recording of the conversation so that you can go back over the details later. Make copies. When you find documents, certificates, photos, journals, and other items, make copies of those things. This gives you a backup copy that you can incorporate into your book. You can also refer to the copy for details as you put the book together. You can create and publish the book on your own computer using a number of free software, or you can utilize professional services to have it printed. Once you've compiled all this information, share it with family members. Sharing and celebrating family history. Preserving history is meaningful, but sharing it makes it even more special. There are several ways you can share your family history. Hold family gatherings, share stories at reunions or special events, create a family website, upload documents, photos, and stories for everyone to access and add to, create social media and blogs. Platforms like Facebook groups or blogs can engage relatives in discussions, especially for families that are spread out. Create time capsule. Have everyone store an important item and open the capsule on a future decided date. Cook-offs. Have everyone select their favorite family recipe to make and share. Engaging the next generation. Exploring genealogy with children cultivates a sense of identity, familiarizes them with family traditions, and provides a personal and impactful history lesson. It sharpens their research skills, enhances their ability to work with various types of information, and fosters curiosity and discovery. This engagement offers profound benefits, including the development of critical thinking and patience, and strengthens family bonds through shared stories and legacies. Start with stories. Begin with relatable and engaging anecdotes about ancestors, focusing on experience or interests that connect with children's lives today. Create a visual family tree. Use this as a fun art project and its tangible representation of their ancestry. Visit places of family significance. Make history come alive by visiting their ancestral hometowns, cemeteries, or homes, allowing children to walk in their ancestors' footsteps. Use technology and apps. Select kid-friendly and secure platforms that make discovering history interactive and fun. Incorporate games and activities. Transform genealogy into a game with scavenger hunts, trivia quizzes, or role-playing activities based on historical periods your ancestors lived through. And engage in cultural practices. Connect with heritage through cultural traditions, foods, and crafts, providing a tangible connection to ancestry. After you've spoken with other family members to see what information they may have, and you've laid out your information, you'll likely need to conduct supplemental research. This list is by no means exhaustive, but it's a great starting point. Steps to get started today. Don't wait. Start by setting small goals like interviewing one relative, digitizing a few key documents, engaging family members in the process. Preserving family history is a gift for future generations. By taking action today, you ensure that your family's story will not be lost. Start small, involve your relatives, and build upon what you discover. This is the contact info for the New Hampshire State Archives. We're happy to help you with your research, genealogical or otherwise. I'd now like to open the floor to any questions you may have, and I'm sure we've got some going in the chat.
We definitely do. Thank you, Archivist Miller. That was really great. And I wanted to reassure people that this is being recorded, and you will be able to go back through the slides and back through all the information that Ashley provided, either on the website of New Hampshire Humanities. You can always find it under What to Watch, or New Hampshire Humanities has a YouTube channel. And I put in the chat, New Hampshire Humanities did 3 oral history workshops back in January. They began with a big overview, and then we had 2 deeper dives on how to preserve family or other oral histories and some other information. So you can also find those on the New Hampshire Humanities YouTube site, and the link is in the chat. Oh, which not everybody, yes, everybody should be able to see that because I sent it out. But you can also check it out on our website. All right, there were a bunch of questions. Let's start with the easy. We should not be using paper clips or rubber bands, but what about putting a sticker with identifying information on the back of a photograph?
I would advocate against that. So the sticker, over time, the adhesive is going to lose its quality. It's not going to be immediate, but years down the line, that sticker is going to pop right off. And then what happens to that photo once it does? In 10 years, is someone still going to be able to identify that photo? So I would actually advocate for writing right on the back of the photo in pencil, not in pen, not in marker, because if that gets wet, it's going to bleed. So I always advocate for pencil use and pencil use only.
Okay, great. You also noted that you wanted people to use high quality sleeves, not the sticky albums of long ago. So what would be a good source for purchasing archival supplies, particularly those sleeves?
Yes. So the sleeves I'm referring to are called Mylar sleeves. It's high quality archival plastic, essentially. And you can get those from a number of places, including Gaylord Archival, University Products. Trying to think of others. Those are the 2 main ones I use at the archives for ordering my supplies.
So Gaylord, Gaylord, archival, or University
Products.
Products. Okay, we got that question from a couple of people. You noted tech changes so quickly. Do you have one storage type that you particularly recommend?
No. There is a principle in archival management, and it's called LOCKSS. LOCKSS. And I said it during the presentation. Lots of copies keep stuff safe. And that's how we refer to digital preservation. So I highly recommend having an external hard drive, potentially a second in another location, either in a different room, or if you can, a separate house. Maybe you drop it off at your sister's house and say, hey, you're also our family archivist. Um, And you can also use cloud storage because that's a really great way to share that information and collect it in one place. Like Google Drive, you can have several contributors. So you can be contributing something to your family archive, but your cousin in Minnesota can also be adding in family documents as well. So I would then take that drive and then back it up and have that in multiple locations. I don't recommend USB drives. They tend to be more volatile, hence the external hard drives. Same with CDs, although we don't really see CD storage much anymore these days.
Okay, great. Follow up on a previous question. If people don't have archival sleeves, can they use plastic bags?
I wouldn't use a plastic bag because we honestly don't know. I don't know the makeup of a plastic bag, and I'm sure it's not archival quality. But what you can do, you can interleave your photos with paper. Paper these days tends to be acid-free. Your normal printer paper at home, you can put them in folders, and that's fine.
Okay, great.
And put them in a box and then, away from direct light. Both natural and artificial light can damage documents and photos.
Okay. in a folder with paper in between all the photos, and then all the folders in a box, lid on the box, not in your attic, not in your basement.
You were paying
Okay.
attention, Beth. Love it.
We've gotten a bunch of questions about digitization. So I'll give you three in a row. The first one's digitizing slides.
Ooh, I'm curious about what kinds of slides. But a lot of your standard scanners these days will have settings where if it's negative slides, you can use the software to turn it into a positive and see that image a little bit more crisply. If it's smaller slides like Kodachrome slides, I know we have those at the archives. You can still use that same scanner. We have a specific one, but we're the state, and not everyone's going to have that at home. Granted, they do have cheap options, I will say, on Amazon. Kodak makes some really good slide scanners that are literally this big. Our slide scanner for smaller slides and Kodachrome slides is only this big. It's the smaller scanner we have. But if you just have a typical flatbed scanner, you can use that as well and blow up the image.
Okay, fantastic. What about VHS tapes, digitizing those or translating them to some other digital format?
Yeah. So there's two options for that. One, if you're feeling pretty tech savvy, there is a device. You'll need a VHS or a VCR still, which a lot of us don't have anymore because VHS haven't been used for a while. But we all still have those old home movies on VHS tapes, and they're, slowly starting to deteriorate. So if you still have your VCR, you can get a device and it will plug into your computer via USB, and it plugs into your VCR, and you'll have to, press play on your VCR, and it will digitize that and save it on your computer. If you don't still have your VCR, because I'm sure not many of us do, I certainly don't, you can send out your VHS tapes. There are a number of companies that will digitize your old obsolete records. It's something we have to do for reel-to-reel tapes, for example. So,
Okay, and do you have a particular recommendation, or is there somewhere people could look up for a good recommendation?
there are so many out there. And I have used, archival professionals. So we at the State Archives for any of our conservation needs typically go to NEDCC, Northeast Document Conservation Center. They have audio and visual digitization capabilities.
Okay, great. They're a wonderful organization. They
They
may
really
be more
are.
expensive than your average home person wants. So that may
Correct.
be a good Google search.
Yes, absolutely. But for
Fantastic.
really high quality preservation needs that we have,
Yes.
NEDCC is our source. But for anyone at home, again, there are a large number of companies, and you really can't go wrong.
Great. We've got two different questions, which basically boil down to a person has the only copy of a photo album or a bound genealogy, and they want to digitize everything in it for sharing. If it's a bound photo album or a bound genealogy, how best to digitize?
I'm curious if it has the ability to become disbound. I deeply want to see the album. So if you want to email me a photo, that is an option. But if it has the ability to be disbound, or if it's in a binder format, and can be easily taken apart and put back together, that might be the easiest thing if you have a flatbed scanner, which a lot of us have at home. If you don't, it's going to be a little trickier. You can send it out again to be digitized, and be digitized as an open book, and there is a scanner. I'm mimicking a scanner. So if you have more pages on this side and fewer on this side, the scanner will move up and down according to how open or not open your book is and how many pages are on one side. And as the digitizer is flipping the pages, the bed of the scanner will adjust so as not to damage the spine. So that you might want to commercially send out to someone to have it digitized if it can't be disbound easily. Or another option is we all have our lovely smartphones with really wonderful cameras on them. You can take photos of each page of the book while it's open. You can arrange them either on a Google Drive or in a file, and then put them on an external hard drive. And you can organize them that way too. And that's a free option to do it yourself. But you're producing high quality images because the phone cameras are really wonderful these days.
That's a great way also to digitize so many photos,
Oh,
is to
yes.
do it that way.
And objects. So 3D objects, any heirlooms you have. I know when I've been at smaller institutions with, we have a little bitty budget, phone images are wonderful. And we all have, the ability to quickly snap a picture.
Great. I think this question is meant sort of in the broader way of what state resources are available in your office, although the question is delightfully written as, can I bring my stuff to your offices and use your scanner?
The plan for the future is I would love to have some scanning days where we invite folks in to scan their family histories or documents, letters, diaries, because that's part of New Hampshire history, and to make them accessible. So if you don't necessarily want to give up your items, I fully understand that, but we can still make them accessible digitally. So that is a plan for the future. We do have a scanning lab, but those will be special event days.
There we go. All right, so we'll all keep an eye out for those. There are a couple of great questions about free software that you might recommend for those writing family history books or online sites that might print family stories, perhaps by sending the stories in and getting them bound. Do you have any knowledge of those kinds of sites or software?
Yeah. So one of my favorite graphic design softwares is Canva, canva.com. I use it so much, both for work and crafting, say, a social media post or a poster. And in my nonprofit work, we use it constantly. So Canva has the ability to make, again, everything from social media posts to books, and it's really easy to manipulate the graphics in it. So if you're trying to do text and you want to throw in an image or two, it's very easy to work with. There is a Canva Pro, but there's also a Canva free version. So I highly recommend Canva. It makes everyone look like a graphic designer.
All right, so that's Canva, CANVA.
You got it.
Okay.
And then for binding items, Staples. You can print and publish your family history at Staples. I think CVS might have printing services like that as well, but Staples, Office Depot, I believe UPS has a print shop as well. I'm trying to remember if they still do it because I think I had bound one of my papers in college there, but that was a bit of time ago.
Okay, great. We continue to get questions, so we'll keep going for a bit longer. You had mentioned 23andMe and genetic data and the impact also of preserving health data. Someone wrote in, 23andMe is currently in bankruptcy. Should we be worried about our genetic information being sold? And if so, they ask, is there something we should do about it? But we might broaden that to, should people avoid using this kind of way of getting family history? Do you have thoughts about that?
Yeah, a lot of thoughts about that. So that is and has been the ethical concern about genetic genealogy since it was first invented, right? Um, we have unknowingly found serial killers and things like that, and random long lost sisters from genetic genealogy, from people inputting data who everyone will have access to in some way. I do know about 23andMe going bankrupt. I have read articles that suggest that you can delete your data off of 23andMe before they sell it. I can't recall the cutoff date, but I'm sure that's easily Googleable. That is a question to be considered for everyone personally before submitting their DNA to be tested, but it's a personal concern for sure. Something to consider before you, I believe, spit in a tube for one of them and swab for the other.
Okay, great. A number of people have suggested in the chat that Storyworth is a way to record stories and photos. They provide weekly prompts and provide a book at the end.
Oh,
So rather than doing it yourself, just as another option. We have a question that's less about storing your family history than interpreting it. So what do you do when two elderly family members conflict in the stories they tell about a particular event? How might you record or interpret that?
keep both of them. Keep everything. Just like the old adage, there's someone's side, there's someone else's side, and then there's the truth. Keep both of them. That is still valuable information. That provides insight into them as individuals and how they remember what happened to them. So I would encourage you, if they are conflicting and they are elderly, hold on to those stories. Maybe don't share them until after both of them have passed. That way you're not creating undue family drama, but keep those stories. Those are valuable stories.
There's been a couple of requests to spell Canva in the chat, so I'm attempting to write that in, but it is just CANVA. It's an equivalent to PowerPoint, but far more flexible and accessible, as Ashley pointed out. Great. Let me see what else I've got. Questions just keep coming in. This is wonderful. We're so glad that you guys have been able to join us today and ask so many questions. Someone has written in about using Sharpies on the back of a photo. I'm going to guess that falls under your pencil, pencil, pencil suggestion.
Absolutely. Yes, always a pencil. If that photo gets wet, you might be able to wipe the water off the enamel side. But on the back, that Sharpie is gonna run. Pencils don't run.
Great.
Your ink doesn't bleed. It's great. It's a great resource.
Do you happen to know offhand what are some of the resources people might be able to access either at the state archives or at their local library?
Yes, so I started in local public libraries. So your family history, if you are from a small town, your public library, just about all of them, have a special collections that is local family history. They might also have your local newspaper dating back to its inception, probably on microfilm, which has obituaries, birth announcements, marriage announcements, all kinds of valuable information that you might not find in the record. significant stories. If something interesting happened with a family member, you can find a newspaper article. When I worked at Concord Public Library, we had the Concord High School yearbooks, a great genealogical resource. House history, if you're trying to track down who owned a house when and who lived in your house. At the State Archives, we have open birth, marriage, death, divorce records. We have military records. We have old photos. We have deeds. We have probate records. That's a really big one for us. Those are probably our number one requested resource is probate records. Divorce records, of course. Lots of options for your genealogical resource. And there is a page on our website dedicated specifically to that.
And that would be the website.
Oh, it's not on my slide. It is sos.nh.gov, and then there's the archives tab.
Fantastic. All right. A last question. A couple of people clearly have that, I know it as well, that 1970s kind of photo with the really shiny backing or the plasticized backing that won't take a pencil. And that might be related to a separate question of if you can't write on the back and you digitize it instead, how do you attach the story to the photo?
So that's going to be in your file name. So you can say X, Y, and Z are in this photo, 1979, grandma's house, or her grandma June Miller's house. And that will help, as well as when you are packaging them in your, either in your high quality scrapbook, you can include separate labels, just a little slip of paper written in pencil, and tuck that right into the sleeve of that photo.
Okay. So in the file name for when you digitize it, or on a piece of acid-free paper, which will be any kind of paper you get these days, and just tuck that into the folder with the photograph. All right. Thank you very much. I want to let people know that the Ashley Miller's address is right there still on your website, archives@sos.nh.gov, and she's agreed to continue to answer questions. Should you have them, you can email to her. Our next Humanities at Home will be April 18th, In Search of King Pompey, Slavery and Freedom in Colonial New England, a fascinating combination of archaeology and history, which will be presented by the two scholars involved in it. That event will not be recorded, so please know you have to be in person for that one. That one will not be recorded. Humanities at Home will then be on hiatus for a few months. We're going to take the summer off. We hope that you also enjoy the summer off. This particular talk, again, has been recorded and will be at our YouTube channel. And if you found the talk useful, or if you find it useful on YouTube, if you enjoy our other programs, please remember that we do match all of the funds that we get from the National Endowment for the Humanities, for which we are really grateful. And those funds are matched by people like you who enjoy our programs. I do see, yes, I know April 18th is Good Friday. That does affect a number of people, but we choose our dates based on when the presenters are available in large part. So apologies for that. Again, thank you very much for joining us tonight, and I hope you have a good weekend. Thanks again, Ashley.
Thank you so much, Beth. Thank you, everyone.